Yesterday, I had the opportunity to go hiking with some of my family, and it was a beautiful day. The sky was blue, and the leaves are at their peak, and we hiked along the trail there at the Fiery Gizzard. It was a beautiful day. And as I was walking along the trail at one point, and I looked at the canyons, and I looked at the sky, and how beautiful nature is, and how restorative nature can be, at least for me, I was reminded of a verse in the Psalms. It's the 31st Psalm, and it is verse 8. When the psalmist declared, "Thou hast set my feet in a broad place." Now, to really grasp the fullness of that verse, you have to back up and understand a bit of the history of Israel itself. You see, they had, at one time, they lived in the narrow confines of slavery. They had been slaves in Egypt, and yet God had delivered them. He delivered them from their slavery, and he set them free, and he brought them to a land that had been promised, and it was a broad place. It was a beautiful place, full of milk and honey was the report. It was beautiful to them, and they prized it as their own, and it was very different than the life they had known when they were slaves in Egypt. And I was thinking about how important that verse is for maybe for all of us at this particular time in life. Thou hast set my feet in a broad place. And yet, in the middle of a pandemic, I know for many it feels very confining. It feels like life is narrowed in, like, well, shelter at home, or safer at home, and keeping our distance socially, keeping our distance as we should, and being very careful. Not only protect ourselves, but to try and show compassion and concern for others as well, and try to navigate our way through this particular time in history with the pandemic. But I know I've heard a lot of people talk about how often it feels like life is narrowed in, like there's a sense of confinement in this moment. And I wanted to remind myself and maybe you along the way that the truth of the matter is, there's one thing physically to be in a place that's confined. I understand that. But you know what? Spiritually, you can live your life in a way where you're not confined, where there's the spirit of spaciousness, thou hast set my feet in a broad place, a wide place, a place that you can run and laugh and learn and grow and develop and celebrate your life and live a life of faith. That is a place that is broad, and that is a gift. And the only way you receive that is with the spirit of graciousness. Yes, spaciousness. A spirit of spaciousness leads to this attitude of being gracious, of being grateful for what we have. And it has a lot to do with the way we approach our life, the way we live our life. And I don't know why it is that for many people, as the years come and go, I'm not just talking about in the pandemic, but I'm talking about as life unfolds in front of us. So often it's very tempting at times to grow more rigid, more narrow, more limited in our understanding and our view. We somewhere along the way, we may not even say it to ourselves. We're certainly not going to announce it to the world. It would be easy to throw the towel in and just try to coast. When in reality, there's a better way to approach your life. There's a better way to live your life. And I think the psalmist pegged it. The psalmist has it right. The Lord has set our feet in a broad place, expansive, room to grow, room to become, room to develop, evolve, become more than you are presently. I think all of those are challenges that we face with our life, each one of us, as we strive to live our life in Christ. And so, this Sunday, we're going to be looking at that particular verse this coming Sunday at Locust Grove. We're going to stop and reflect on, in the context of worship, what it means to live in a broad place, and how enlivening that can be, how encouraging that can be in our life, and how we can live that out as a way not only for us to live into the fullness of our life, but in a way that we can model maybe for others as they strive to to live, especially during this time. Yes, we are living in interesting days. And it would be and could be tempting for some just to kind of pull in, be more self-focused, become more narrow, more rigid, just go back to what you've always known, quit growing, quit striving, quit trying, quit learning. That doesn't have to be the case. If you choose to live your life that way, that's on you. I'm not going to live my life that way. No way. No, I'm going to try to keep growing, keep learning. Yeah, I've lived a while now, and I'm grateful for every day that I get. And none of us know how long we have. But as long as I have life, I want to keep growing. I want to celebrate the God who has set my feet in a broad place. It's interesting in the Bible how we're told that at times that how the Lord has, a couple of passages talk about the Lord having set our feet in the high places. At other times, we're told that our feet have been set down on the rock. We have both a foundation, and we also have the mountains to climb. We have both. So yes, you can be grounded and rooted in Christ. I hope you are. And that should give you all the hope in life. But I also hope that you understand and know that, you know what, that doesn't mean that you quit growing, that you quit striving, becoming, that you no longer strive to climb the mountains. The Lord has set our feet in high places as well. And you have not yet attained that place. If you are still breathing, if you are still alive, you have this opportunity to become even more than you presently are. And it starts by acknowledging where you are. The Lord has set my feet in a broad place. I don't know why I was, but early on when Israel left the bondage of slavery and Moses was trying to lead them, I don't know if you remember this or not, at one point, maybe more than once actually, Israel, they wanted to go back because they feared what they didn't know. They feared the unknown of the future. They knew what it was to be slaves. And so they actually requested that they turn around and go back to the narrow place, go back to that place where life was rigid and hard. We'd rather do that because at least we knew what that life was, and we don't know where we're going out here. None of us know where life is leading us. None of us know what life will be like, but post-pandemic. None of us know. We don't yet know what that will really be or look like. But I will tell you this, the Spirit of the Lord is always leading us to that place where there's a sense of space, where there's room, where you can grow, develop, become more. So this Sunday, join us. I hope that you can come and be a part of worship. We practicing social distancing, wear masks, trying to, again, be safe. But if you can't join us in person, at least join us online, because we're going to be talking together about what this means. What does it mean to live your life in a broad place? So today, just for now, I just want you to think with me for a moment, midweek, of how the Lord has set our feet in a broad place. The gift of freedom that we have in this country. The liberty that is ours in Christ. There's always the inclination, I suppose, to go back, to turn back, or to quit growing and become more narrow and rigid. Even Paul had to tell the Galatians, for freedom Christ has set us free. Stand fast and don't go back to that yoke of slavery. Don't return to that. You've been set free in Christ. If you're a Christian, you live in a spirit of freedom. You live in a spirit where there is it's a broad place. It's a big world. I was telling a friend earlier today, a couple of weeks ago, I saw a picture from the Hubble telescope. It's probably a couple years old. First time I had seen it. It's of the Milky Way. of, you know, the galaxy. And there were stars and clouds and darkness, and it was all mixed together, and it was, on the one hand, it was beautiful. On the other hand, it reminded me of the great mystery of beyond. We like to live in a world where we think we know, where we can categorize someone or something, where we can compartmentalize that. The truth of the matter is, we live in a world where we know very little, where there's a lot of mystery, where there's still a lot of room for growth and expansion with our life. So why don't you celebrate the fact that our God is a God who's set our feet in a broad place. Now, if you want to live your life in a narrow, rigid way, if you want to live your life in a way where, you know, you're afraid to move forward, that's on you. I'm telling you, the Spirit of Christ, well, for freedom, Christ set us free. Don't you go back. Don't you let fear or complacency. Fear will hold you back, and complacency simply is a matter of staying where you are and not becoming something more. So, with the psalmist, the Lord has set my feet in a broad place. I'm going to do my very best to live into that. I hope you will too. So I don't know what the next chapter is in your life, or in mine for that matter. But I do know that each of us are called to live our life with faith, with hope, and with love. We are called on to recognize that this great mystery called life, that the Spirit of God Himself is reminding us that we are in a broad place where we are free to live. May God help each of us do that.